Welcome to our channel. Today we're sharing the powerful story of what happened when Robert Downey Jr. walked into a luxury restaurant dressed in simple clothes. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that warm your heart and teach valuable life lessons, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Now let's dive into this incredible encounter that left everyone in the restaurant stunned. Robert Downey Jr. arrived at Lumiere, one of the most exclusive restaurants in Beverly Hills, on what seemed like an ordinary evening. The restaurant was known for its sparkling crystal chandeliers, elegant decor, and famous clientele. Though Robert was a wealthy Hollywood star, he dressed simply in worn jeans, a plain shirt, and a comfortable jacket without any luxury brands. His humble appearance contrasted sharply with the glamorous atmosphere of the restaurant. Ashley, one of Lumiere's most experienced waitresses, noticed Robert immediately. She prided herself on working at such a prestigious establishment and often judged people based on their appearance. When she saw Robert in his casual clothes, she assumed he didn't belong there. Her face showed clear disdain as she approached him at the reception desk. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" Ashley asked with a cold smile that disappeared quickly. "This is a very exclusive restaurant." Despite her rudeness, Robert remained polite and confirmed he wanted to dine there. Ashley checked the reservation system and, finding no booking under his name, became even more dismissive. With visible annoyance, Ashley led Robert through the elegant dining room, past tables bathed in golden light. Instead of seating him in the main area, she took him to the darkest, most undesirable corner, near the kitchen, where the noise of dishes and staff chatter created an unpleasant atmosphere. "Here you go. This table should do," she said, carelessly dropping the menu on the table. "I think you'll feel comfortable here. It's more private." When taking Robert's order, Ashley's behavior grew increasingly cruel. She pointed out the high prices with exaggerated concern, asking if he was sure he could afford the $350 main course. "Just to make sure there aren't any misunderstandings later, I suggest you double-check the prices," she said with a malicious smile. "We wouldn't want anyone to have unpleasant surprises." She even reminded him about the expected 20% tip before walking away. Throughout the meal, Ashley deliberately provided poor service. She delayed bringing Robert's food, prioritizing other tables she deemed more important. When she finally served his appetizer, she placed it down forcefully and made discouraging comments about the dish. She repeatedly walked past his table, pretending to be too busy to attend to him, while finding time to chat with other guests and even serve tables that weren't hers. Other diners began to notice Ashley's behavior. A couple whispered about how awful she was being, despite Robert's politeness. An elderly man in a navy blue suit even approached Robert's table, commenting on his remarkable patience. When Ashley interrupted their conversation, telling the elderly man not to disturb her customer, Robert simply thanked the man for coming over. Ashley's attempts to provoke Robert continued as she served his main course after an unnecessarily long delay. She placed it on the table roughly and made more condescending remarks about the sophisticated dish being difficult for someone who's not used to it. Yet Robert remained unruffled, thanking her each time with genuine calm. Frustrated by her inability to upset him, Ashley began speaking loudly to her colleagues. "He's pretending to be polite, but it's obvious he's uncomfortable," she said, laughing. "I bet he doesn't even know what he's eating. It's always the same with these types. They come here to feel important, but end up making fools of themselves." Her co-worker suggested treating him like any other customer, but Ashley dismissed the idea, pointing out his boots as proof he didn't belong. The tension in the restaurant grew as more patrons became aware of the situation. Some were outraged by Ashley's behavior, others were impressed by Robert's composure. When Ashley returned to clear his plate, she asked with fake concern if the dish met his expectations. Robert looked directly at her and replied that it was excellent, asking her to compliment the chefs on their impeccable work. Determined to provoke a reaction, Ashley escalated her provocations. She spoke loudly about how hard it was to maintain standards when just anyone thinks they can walk in. Finally, she returned to Robert's table and made her most direct insult yet, commenting on how interesting it was to have different kinds of people at the restaurant. For the first time, Robert directly challenged her. "Different? Could you explain what you mean by that?" The dining room fell silent as everyone turned to listen. Ashley, believing she had the upper hand, explained that their clientele typically had a more traditional profile, and it was rare to see someone with your style here. After a moment of silence, Robert replied, "You're right. Perhaps I should handle this differently." Before Ashley could respond, the restaurant manager appeared, rushing to the table with an expression of shock and respect. "Mr. Downey," he exclaimed, "I wasn't aware you were visiting us today. Please let me know how I can assist you." Ashley's face drained of color as she realized who Robert was. The manager apologized profusely, but Robert calmly asked to have a brief conversation with the staff. When Ashley tried to defend herself by saying she didn't know who he was, the manager cut her off sharply, and Robert delivered a powerful message. "There's no need to state who I am to be treated with dignity. Frankly, it shouldn't matter. Everyone who walks through these doors, regardless of their appearance, should be welcomed with respect." The entire dining room was captivated. Patrons whispered among themselves, some feeling ashamed for not intervening earlier. The manager instructed Ashley to leave the table and promised Robert he would take over. Robert then stood and addressed everyone, explaining that the restaurant was founded as a place where everyone could feel welcome, regardless of how they dressed or where they came from. After the restaurant closed, Robert met with the entire staff. In a quiet but powerful voice, he spoke about the mistake of judging people based on appearances. "We all make mistakes," he began, "but what truly matters is what we do after those mistakes. Today we witnessed a problem that goes far beyond poor service. We saw the impact of snap judgments, hidden biases, and a lack of empathy." Looking directly at Ashley, whose eyes were filled with tears of shame, he continued, "Ashley, I know what happened today was a mistake, and mistakes can be corrected as long as there's effort and a willingness to learn. What you choose to do next will define who you are." He explained to the entire team how easy it is to judge people based on surface appearances, their clothes, what they drive, or where they live. "But I want you to consider something," he said. "What happens when you choose to treat someone with kindness? When you decide to look beyond appearances and recognize another person's humanity? We all carry struggles that no one else can see," Robert continued thoughtfully. "The person who seems out of place might be having the worst day of their life. The one who doesn't dress as expected might have achieved more than you could imagine. The kindness we choose to extend, especially to those who seem undeserving, might just be the gesture that changes everything." Ashley finally spoke up, her voice quiet but sincere. "I never thought about it that way before," she admitted. "I was so focused on the restaurant's image, on maintaining standards, that I forgot what really matters. I forgot that every person has value no matter who they are or what they look like. I promise, Mr. Downey, I'll change." Robert offered her an encouraging smile. "That promise is to yourself, Ashley, not to me. True change comes from within, and if you need help along the way, I'll be here." The manager assured Robert they would work to ensure Lumiere reflected his original vision. As Robert left the restaurant and walked down the illuminated streets of Beverly Hills, he reflected on what had happened. The evening wasn't just about a rude waitress or a mistreated customer. It was about creating spaces where all people feel seen, heard, and valued. Even in difficult situations, there was an opportunity to inspire and transform. The message Robert hoped everyone would take from that night was simple but profound. In a world where you can be anything, choose to be kind. True strength isn't found in judging others, but in accepting them as they are. And it's the small choices we make every day that shape not only the world around us, but also who we are as human beings. If you enjoyed this story about kindness and not judging others by appearance, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because tomorrow at 12:30 p.m., we have another special story coming your way that you won't want to miss. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, choose to be kind. See you in our next video.